Hey there, and welcome. You know how sometimes you're listening to a language and you notice a tiny little quirk that just doesn't quite add up? Well, today we're jumping into a really cool puzzle from Morocco, one that's hidden inside the simple word the. And it's a secret that splits the entire alphabet into two teams, the sun and the moon. Okay, so first up, let's get right into the mystery itself. If you've ever tried to learn Moroccan Darija, or even just traveled there, you've definitely heard this, probably without even realizing what was going on. And believe it or not, it all boils down to just one little letter, L. All right, so here is the heart of the puzzle. If you want to say the moon, you hear that L crystal clear, la qamar. But then you go to say the sun, and suddenly that L just vanishes. It becomes shashems. So what gives? Where did the L go? Why is it playing this game of hide and seek depending on the word? Well, as it turns out, this is no accident. It's not random at all. In fact, it's part of this really elegant ancient system called the sun and moon rule. So this rule actually comes all the way from Standard Arabic, and it's been perfectly kept alive in Darija. And what it does is it sorts every single letter of the alphabet into one of two categories, a sun letter or a moon letter. And this classification, well, that's the key that unlocks this whole thing. The idea itself is actually super straightforward. Okay, so if a word kicks off with a moon letter, you say the l sound for the. Simple. But if a word starts with a sun letter, that l sound goes quiet. It just disappears. What you do instead is you kind of double up on the sound of that first letter. The l basically gets absorbed or assimilated right into the word. So obviously the big question is, which letters are on which team? Let's meet them. You can almost think of it like two opposing teams in a pronunciation showdown. All right, first up, Team Sun. These are the sun letters. So whenever you put the in front of a word that starts with one of these guys, you totally skip the L sound. Instead, you just hit that first letter a little harder, like you're saying it twice. And this is exactly what's happening with shams, the sun, because sh is a sun letter, see? And then on the other side of the field, you've got the moon letters, which is, pretty much everybody else. With these letters, it's totally y-si-wag. What you see is what you get. That little sound for the is always there, loud and proud. And that's exactly why we hear it so clearly in al-qamar, the moon, because qaf is a classic moon letter. Okay, so the theory's cool and all, but let's see how this thing actually works in the wild with some everyday words. This is where it gets really fun. Let's kick things off with a moon letter. So the word for door is bab. Now B is on team moon. So if we want to say the door, it becomes, you guessed it, le bab. You hear that L? Perfect. Okay, now for the contrast. Let's grab a sun letter. The word for house is dad, and dad is a sun letter. So the house is an ul dad. Nope, the L gets absorbed, and what we actually say is dad dad. You hear that? That dud sound is doubled up and the L is totally gone. Let's do one more from Team Moon, just to make sure it sticks. The word for school is madrasa. Starts with an M, which is a moon letter. So the school is just al-madrasa. Easy peasy, nice and clear. And let's wrap up with one more from Team Sun. Trousers is sirwal, and sud is a sun letter. So following our rule, the trousers becomes si sirwal. See? The lam vanishes and this saw sound just takes right over. Honestly, once you know this rule, you start hearing it absolutely everywhere.
Okay, before we close the case on this mystery, I've got just a couple of final clues that are super helpful for any language detective out there.
So you might be thinking, okay, but what about or an? Well, here's the cool part. Darija keeps it simple. There are no words for in. If you just say the word bab, it can mean either door or a door. You just figure it out from the context of the conversation. And here's a fantastic little tidbit for you. The curious case of the letter J. You could almost call it a linguistic double agent. See, in Standard Arabic, J is a moon letter. So for the camel, you'd say el jama. But somewhere along the way, in Moroccan Darija, it completely switched sides. It's now a sun letter. So in Morocco, they say jijmel. It's just a perfect little example of how languages are always alive and changing. So let's tie this all together. When you boil it all down, it comes back to one crucial point. If you want to know how to say the in Darija, all you have to do is look at the very first letter of the next word. That single letter is the key. It tells you everything you need to know. Is the l going to be heard loud and clear, or is it going to disappear, hidden in the sounds that comes right after it? And just like that, the mystery is solved. The sun, the moon, and the. It's just such a great reminder that even the tiniest little details in a language can be guided by these beautiful ancient patterns. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other linguistic codes are out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to find them?